Hi, this is Ashley Victoria Robinson coming to you live from the Popverse here at New York Comic Con, and I am joined by legendary artist and former Marvel Editor-in-Chief Joe Quesada. Welcome! How is your New York Comic Con so far?
So far, it's been pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome?
Pretty awesome. Well, you know, there's still a Saturday to go, and that's when it becomes awesome.
That is so fair.
Right? So it's a build-up, gradual build-up. Yeah.
I want to start with a question just for me personally.
Okay, sure.
When did you become a T.S. Eliot fan?
A long time ago. You know, I was forced to read T.S. Eliot. You know, it wasn't like I volunteered for it.
Okay.
But yeah, no, and that quote's always stuck with me. You know, and it's I have a tendency, not a tendency. I've always had a habit of thinking in terms of my career and thinking ahead and thinking what's next and thinking what's next and sort of knowing that at some point what's next is coming back to what I originally started doing. Mm-hmm. So it always sort of sat with me. For those who don't know the quote, just go to the release I put out about when I was exiting Marvel. And, you know, I found a good place where I was, if someday I'm going to use this thing.
Yeah.
Snuck it right in there. So, yeah.
Well, since you brought up your exit from Marvel, that's what everyone else is going to want me to ask about. You were at Marvel from 1998, a lifetime ago for some people. So what prompted the evolution?
Well, in 1998, I came in as a packager, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I've been freelancing at Marvel way before that. Yeah. So I came in as a packager. We started Marvel Knights. I was hired officially as an employee when I became editor-in-chief in 2000. Really, what sort of prompted, you know, the evolution of my finally saying, it's time. Mm-hmm. You know, again, it's all part of that process. I actually remember I was mulling the decision.
You didn't make it split second.
Oh no!
Jumped onto Facebook.
No. I was almost certain that 2022 was going to be it. Mm-hmm. But I was mulling it over. You know, it's a great job. It's a great company. Mm-hmm. I love the people there. I love the characters. And actually, I was in conversation with Brian Bendis, mm-hmm. and Brian said something to me because you know, my daughter is graduating college, and you know, so life is changing. And I'm like, you know, what's next for me, right? What am I leaving behind for her? Mm-hmm. And Brian had said to me, he's like, literally just said, what else do you have left to do up there? And that just like hit me like right here. I'm like, wow, it's kind of right. You know, I've touched just about every aspect of the company through working at Marvel. I'm fortunate enough to work in just about every aspect of the entertainment field, right? Mm-hmm. From theme parks to animation to movies to television, straight down the line. Video games, I've done a little bit of something in everything. Mm-hmm. And I've touched just about every character, and then thinking back on my career, it's like, you know, I was hired as editor-in-chief and then later chief creative officer as sort of to safeguard these characters and make sure that they're ready for the next group of people to come in. I'm like, I think I've done the job, you know? Mm-hmm. And then just started thinking about ideas that I've had. You know, I always have this little notebook where I'm writing down, if I'm ever on my own and I want to, you know, I have ideas. So now I'm going back into that notebook, adding some stuff, and I'm gonna do some stuff.
So for Events Comics fans, any chance we'll see a reemergence of Ash?
Nothing immediate. Okay. You know, again, it's one of, not that I don't love Ash, not that I don't love Painkiller Jane, but I tend to always look forward, right? Like if we were doing this interview and you said, hey, remember that book you did back in 2004? It will take me a while to think back to remember that because I'm thinking about the next thing that I'm doing, and
it's not like the library is tiny either that you have to go back through.
No, but again, it's just the way my brain works. I'm thinking about the next thing, right? So I'm at this con, and we are, you know, there's an announcement.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about the next 3 or 4 cons where there's other announcements, and that's not to slight any of the stuff I've done in the past. It's not to slight Ash or any of that stuff. It's just not in my immediate purview, but it is on a list of things to do.
So you touched on all of the different aspects that you got to work on while you were at Marvel. You also worked on Max and Ultimates and Marvel Knights, all of which have gone on to be on-screen adaptations and create some of our most favorite versions of those characters. So what is it like to see your legacy jump into other mediums like that?
You know, it's not just my legacy, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing happens in a vacuum. It's not just, it was myself, a great team of people who were there. But I got to be honest with you, as fulfilling as it is to see that on screen, the most fulfilling thing is to see the crowds out there. Yeah. Because I remember in particular, this show didn't even exist, or at least not in this fashion, but even going to San Diego and seeing like no one there. Mm-hmm. And I remember Bill Jemis and I were looking through one of the sky boxes at San Diego, and we were looking back at just how sad it looked and thinking, you know, imagine if we could do something with Marvel and help build this back up. So when I go out there and I see these crowds, I'm like, wow, people forget.
Yeah.
People forget what it was like in 2000. forget 1999, 2000. These were ghost towns with tumbleweeds, you know, and just seeing the crowds and the mix of people, right, and seeing the women out there, and you know, my daughter was a cosplayer as well for a while, and just seeing that kind of thing happen. That to me is better than, as much as I love Charlie Cox, than seeing Charlie Cox play the devil, you know.
You also collaborated with the King of Comic-Con, Kevin Smith.
I did.
On Daredevil.
I did when he was just a little prince of comics at that point.
Yeah,
right?
and when Daredevil was a very specific niche, right? Now he's the hottest commodity out there. He's back in She-Hulk, and everyone is so excited.
Yeah, and look at Kevin. Look what he's become. Right?
I know.
No, Kevin to me was the opening salvo, the shot across the bow. The comics were coming back, you know, because not only did he take a shot coming from the world of movies to the world of comics, but I cannot think of a better spokesman for comic books, right? I hear, quite often I hear somebody say, oh, so-and-so's the next Stan Lee, so-and-so's that. No. Kevin Smith is our Stan Lee. He is our Stan Lee, right? Because there's no one else who speaks about comics in the way that he does to the large audience that he does, like he does.
And it's a bit of an Ouroboros, right? Movies to comics that are influencing movies again now.
Yeah. So, you know, I love him dearly, so I can't say no about Kevin.
So, at New York Comic Con, there was a little teeny tiny announcement that a little bit blew up the internet. So I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, coming back to DC, is this like a homecoming? Because you had a tenure at DC before you even entered the world of Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, I you know, DC, before I went to Marvel, I'd done
in the OG Valiant days too.
That's right. But you know, I as a young boy, I read Marvel comics habitually. Then I grew out of comics, came back to comics in my mid-20s, and started reading DC habitually, and fell in love with Batman. That's all I wanted to do. And actually, that was the inspiration for me to decide, because I was working in music at that point. I decided, you know what, I think I want to do comics. So I shifted, and I built a portfolio, and all I wanted to do was draw Batman. I eventually got hired by Valiant, then DC, and then worked my way to the point where I was able to talk to Daniel O'Neill and Archie Goodwin and say, I just want to draw Batman. But they weren't ready to give me a Batman book, so they gave me Sword of Azrael. And that was supposed to be my entry into the world of Batman. A few things happened at DC politically, and we'll not name names. It had nothing to do with Archie.
Say their names.
No. It's not what I do. Maybe someday when I write my tell-all book. I'm not writing a tell-all book.
You say that now.
Well, let me write a book. It won't be tell-all. But there were a few things that happened behind the scenes that I wasn't aware of, and suddenly I wasn't getting any Batman work from DC. I was getting a couple of Superman covers here and there. So by that time, I just, I had to move on. So it's kind of unfinished business. A few days after I made the announcement, Marie Javins gave me a very nice email. She's like, you wouldn't consider, I'm like, yes, Batman, yes, I'll do some covers. So I signed up to do some Batman covers, and it's sort of the first, I haven't really done any interviews or anything. I've just been waiting for this show to announce one thing, and then we'll see what happens with everything else. But it's gonna be fun. I mean, it was fun drawing my short-eared version of Batman. I'm a short-eared guy, right?
Oh, you and I are gonna have some words then.
Well, I had a bit of a discussion. Well, it was really a heated argument with Ben Abernathy, the editor, where I said, listen, I'm a short-eared guy, but I've seen the long ear. I have a thing I want to try. I want to try one long, one short. What do you think? He was like, no. I'm like, come on, man. I'll even give you a choice, left or right. He's like, no.
Everyone get on Twitter, demand it. We'll make it happen
So
for you.
you will not see my long, short-eared Batman.
Okay.
But, I've always been a fan of the short-eared.
Okay, if you're a short-eared guy, then what, as an artist, is more compelling to you, the shape of the cowl or the shape of the cape?
If because of the drawing superheroes and drawing heroic proportions and stuff, it's not just the shape of the head; it's the size of the head too.
Yes.
Right. So that's why I think I always prefer the short ears, because it enables me to sort of keep those heroic proportions, keep the head a little bit smaller, a little bit tighter. Also, I just never understood. You have to duck through everything, right? So a little tighter cowl, but the cape is just a graphic element, right? It's a blessing and a curse because the instinct whenever drawing Batman is to make the cape a huge graphic element in a piece, but sometimes it can actually get in the way. Sometimes you just, just gotta keep it tight, keep it small. So I play with both, but the head size is really, really important to me. I guess it's just, it's the first time we've actually spoken about this out loud. So yes, so tight mask, tight ears, sleek Batman, stealth Batman.
Sleek, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So when you came around to doing the designs for 131 and 132,
Yeah.
did you know immediately what they were going to look like? Did you have a very clear vision?
No, not at all. So, I just started sketching, and I had like probably a dozen ideas, and so I just sent it to Ben. I said, pick, so he just went through them, and those are the ones I'm working on, and maybe I'll do some more, maybe I won't.
Okay, so if he picked 2, that means there's 10. If there were a dozen, 10 designs left over, 10 more covers?
I'm at the moment, I have 6 lined up.
Okay.
6 lined up and a couple of extra possible special ones. And if we do more, I'd love to do more. It's also a matter of like, well, do they sell, right? I also come from the point of view of like I've been on the business side of it,
Totally.
right? So I know that hey, if these covers just sort of sit on the shelves, then tough for me. But and also it's a timing thing. Will I have time to do more? But it's fun to draw Batman after all these years, and actually I may even have some prints for sale, so we'll see.
Oh. You mentioned that you also, when you were initially at DC, you had your tenure on Azrael.
Mm-hmm.
Asbats is having a real comeback right now. There's an amazing McFarlane figure out. So
Yep.
I'm not going to say any chance, but would you like to return to that character?
It'd be fun to draw a Batman, Azrael. I mean, it would absolutely be fun to do it again, to go back to the character, because I don't think I have, outside of a fan asking for an Azrael head sketch, I don't think I've drawn the full character since those days.
That's shocking. That surprises me.
No, I mean, again, go forward.
Yeah,
I haven't drawn the Ray in a million years,
Uh-huh.
right? And so even Daredevil, it's I'll do the occasional Daredevil sketch here and there, but and an occasional Daredevil cover. But I just even going back to Daredevil, like would I write a Daredevil story? I just don't know yet. I just unless I have the idea. Keep going forward.
So we've talked a lot about Batman, but DC has a deep, deep bench of characters and mythology. Is there anyone else you would like to get your hands on?
I haven't really given it that much thought, to be honest with you. No slight to DC.
Choose someone now.
Well, who should I do? I don't know. Tell me.
Teen Titans is always my
Teen Titans?
answer.
Okay.
The best super team in all of DC Comics.
Okay. All right. It's definitely something to think about. I have not given it much thought outside of the projects they put in front of me.
So what advice do you have for everyone watching who wants to break into comics, as somebody who's been in multiple aspects of the industry and been working for so long, so successfully?
The thing is this. I'm going to talk directly to you. Mm-hmm. Okay. So here's the thing. Everyone breaks in differently. This is really true. You can't model your career after someone who's come before you. But there are some things that are absolute truisms. The biggest truism is learn your craft. Learn your craft. You can't just walk into comics and expect to get hired by one of the big companies if you don't understand your craft. So if you're a writer, you write. If you're an artist, you draw every day, even if it's just a little bit. I loved baseball. I had fantasies that it was a real fantasy that I'd be a Major League Baseball player someday. So in order to attain that fantasy, you have to be on the field every day. You have to be fielding grounders. You have to be taking batting practice. You've got to be doing everything you possibly can every single day to get better and better at your craft. And then natural talent takes over, of course. But everything is incremental. You incrementally grow on the day before. It's the same thing with artwork. It's the same thing with writing, coloring, whatever aspect of this industry it is that you want to do. Do it every day. If not, then you're just pretending that you're going to be successful. It's really as simple as that. And I'm not saying you have to draw for hours, you have to write for hours. Keep a journal if you're a writer. Write something for yourself. No one has to see it. It doesn't have to be perfect. I've had this conversation with my daughter for a very, very long time, right? She wanted to write a small screenplay. And I'm like, that's fine. Just write it knowing that you're going to throw it into the garbage, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you start writing thinking that it has to be perfect, that someone's going to see it, you're doomed, because you're just going to be living in this endless loop of it's not good enough, because it's not good enough when you start out. But eventually, keep doing it, you get good enough.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, lastly, because we're here at New York Comic Con, and in the Popverse, we celebrate the best in TV, movies, and comics. What are you geeking out about right now that you're not working on?
Oof. Well, of course, I think everybody's geeking out on Sandman, right?
Yes, amazing.
And I've been behind on The Boys.
Carl Urban's gonna bust through this
No,
door and yell at you right now.
Garth is a dear friend of mine. No, I just haven't gotten to season 3, but my wife has never seen it, so we had to start from the beginning, and I'm watching her go through it because she's known Garth for a very long time, you know, through Punisher, and you know, she was our managing editor at Marvel Knights. So I'm having fun watching her watch it, but I love The Boys so much. Yeah, so those are the two right now, outside of what I do, that I'm really enjoying. You know?
You can't say Batman because you're working on Batman.
Well, yeah, you know. So, but you know, I hear this Chip Zdarsky. How do you say his name?
I think it's Zdarsky.
He's Canadian, right?
Yeah, my countryman.
Okay. Yeah, I hear he's an okay writer.
He's fine, yeah.
And I hear they somehow he finagled himself into doing Batman.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happens.
People seem to like it.
Yeah, I don't know if he writes all his stuff. I think he has a ghostwriter or writers, but I hear he's pretty good. So I tend to like the stuff that he does. I did not know he was writing Batman when I did the covers.
Oh, really?
No, I would have rethought the whole idea. Yeah, and you know, and maybe taken on Superman instead. But yeah, I like his stuff.
Yeah, he's all right. He can stay.
Yeah. There's also Jonathan Hickman is doing some great stuff out there.
Oh yeah, Three Worlds, Three Moons.
Big fan of Jonathan Hickman and all my my Marvel brethren, so to speak. You know, so I'm keeping track.
Yeah.
Keeping track, taking names. You know.
Noting who to make covers for in future.
Not necessarily. It's just who I got to take out because of the competition.
Oh, okay.
You know, that's a Zdarsky.
There's no threat. We're Canadian.
Yeah.
Joe Quesada, thank you so much for joining us in the
Appreciate it.
Popverse at New York Comic Con.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.